Hello, hope you could hear me. What was the last topic discussed? Economy and all. Voice is not audible. How is it right now? Is it audible? Okay, fine. So can someone say what was the last point we mentioned? Last point. Exactly what was the last point? Drama. Okay, Harsha support to this. That assemblies we mentioned, Prayag assembly and all. Assemblies of Harsha, the Prayag and all. First, let us finish the ancient India and then we will start medieval India. Okay. We are moving on the last part of ancient India. Let us finish that. So I just say where we stopped exactly. Where we stopped exactly. Priyadarshiga, Nagananda and Ratnavali. Okay. So next point, Harsha. Harsha supported the Mahayana Buddhism. Harsha supported Mahayana Buddhism under the influence of Chinese traveler Yuan Chang. Harsha influenced or Harsha patronized Yuan Chang. That is a Buddhist scholar Yuan Chang. And under his influence, Harsha supported the Mahayana Buddhism. And he conducted an assembly at Kanauj. Harsha conducted an assembly at Kanauj for the promotion of Buddhism. Conducted an assembly at Kanauj for the promotion of Buddhism. So for the promotion of Buddhism, he conducted an assembly at Kanauj. And in this assembly, there were attempts on the life of Harsha and Yuan Chang. In this assembly, there were attempts on the life of Harsha and Yuan Chang. Attempts on the life of Harsha and Yuan Chang. That is, people tried to assassinate Harsha and Yuan Chang because, see, Buddhism was already declining in India from the Gupta times onwards. So from the Gupta times onwards, the Buddhism was declining in India and Brahmanical elements got an upper hand. Now what happened was that, what happened afterwards, Brahmanical religion became powerful. Now a ruler of India, a powerful ruler of North India, trying to revive Buddhism. So the Brahmanical elements became unhappy and they tried to kill Harsha and Yuan Chang because Harsha was trying to patronize Buddhism. So that was there at Kanauj Council. Next point, Harsha conducted 5-year assemblies. Harsha conducted 5-year assemblies. At Prayag. He conducted 5-year assemblies at Prayag. Prayag is now Prayagraj, earlier Allahabad. He conducted 5-year assemblies at Prayag for the purpose of charity. This was for charity. So what all personal income Harsha made in the last 5 years, that he distributed to the poor. That was this Prayag councils. So Prayag council was for charity. Kanauj council was for the promotion of Buddhism. And this Prayag council happened every 5 years. So last 5 years, what all personal wealth Harsha made, that he distributed to the poor in this council. So this is related to Harsha. And This tradition established by Harsha later became the Kumbh Mela. So this is how the Kumbh Mela and all began. This tradition of Harsha that later became Kumbh Mela. One of the origin theory of Kumbh Mela is related to Harsha. Okay, one of the origin theory that is related to Harsha in this way. Then Harsha died in 647. Harsha died in 647 AD. And North India got disintegrated once again. Once again, petty political states emerged in North India. So Harsha's empire declined and North India got once again parceled out into small states. Got parceled out into small states. The next, post-Gupta economy. Post-Gupta economy. This was a period of economic decline. Post-Gupta economy, this was a period of economic decline, and trade was almost ended. During this period, or trade almost came to an end during this period. Why this trade came to an end? See, India, we had foreign trade, that is external trade, and internal trade. External trade was there, internal trade was there. Already we explained in the Gupta period, the external trade was lost. During the Gupta period itself. In the last class, we discussed the factors that contributed to the decline of external trade. Internal trade was there for some more time in India, but during the post-Gupta economy, the internal trade also came to an end. Why this internal trade came to an end? This internal trade came to an end because of the growth of land grant economy in India. Land grant economy. See, already we discussed Brahmins received land grants, and by the Gupta time, land grants covered entire India. So there is what is called the land grant economy, which we call as India's feudalism. Indian feudalism. That is long chain of intermediaries. People are connected through a chain of intermediaries. So that was the Indian feudalism. Feudal lord, subordinates, intermediaries, and at the lowest level, the peasant. So every stage represented some sort of exploitation, submissiveness, and all. So all this we call as the Indian feudalism. And one of the most important feature of Indian feudalism was the self-sufficient closed village economies. Self-sufficient closed village economies. This became the feature of the post-Gupta economy, self-sufficient closed village economies. That means, see, assume that a feudal lord and another feudal lord and another feudal lord. Three big villages. This village, we mean today's few districts, okay? So each of this village was under a Brahmin landlord. And this Brahmin landlords always tried to preserve their territory. This land includes the people and the land. So entire people is now under this Brahmin landlord. All these Brahmin landlords tried to preserve their territory from outside influence, because outside influence can corrupt the people. That's what the owners always think. Not only that, I am a cruel landlord. Assume that I am a cruel landlord here. Because of my oppression, the villagers try to escape from my village. They will try to escape to another place. In order to prevent the movement of the people, in order to have no relation with outside, all the feudal lords of India, they tried to preserve their territory from outside influence. So what happened was that led to the emergence of closed village economies in India, where local needs were met locally. That is, what is produced in that locality is for the use of that area alone. No inter-trade happened. See, some items like salt and all, small trade is okay, happening, still happening, but in general, 90% it was closed economy where local need were met locally. No other trade. There is no relation between this territory with this territory, this with this. Okay, in this way, closed nature emerged. And this is one of the reasons why new languages also emerged in India that we will study in art and culture topic. See, this is the time period. See, all our modern languages which we speak today, Marathi, the modern Tamil, Malayalam, Kannada, Telugu, Gujarati, Bengali, Assamese, Punjabi, Rajasthani, Hindi, all languages emerged during 8th to 12th centuries. So you may have that Tamil is having antiquity. Yes, Tamil is having antiquity. It is an old language. But what we are speaking today is not the old Tamil. That Tamil and modern Tamil is little different. Not little, huge difference is there. So 8th to 12th centuries, in India, we have large number of dialects, regional dialects, and how earlier in India, people had spoken almost the same language up to the central India and central India to South India, Dravida. So Dravida and that Proto-Abhabhramsha language was there in the North India. Why in India we have this much languages? Feudalism, the link between the people was stopped. That led to the rise of regional dialects, and that contributed to the growth of new languages because people in an area now they don't have a relation with the other area. So some regional changes emerged in the language, and all this led to the emergence of new languages in India. India never had this much languages before 8th century. Sanskrit was there, then that Prakrit language, which was called Abhabhramsha language, and the Dravida language. 3 languages broadly. That got split into this much languages because of this close nature. People to people contact came to an end. See, if you get an example, Kerala and Tamil Nadu had the same language. But during this period, feudalism and 2 different rule. Cholas and Cheras fighting each other on the both sides of Western Ghats. For 100 years, there was no relation between Kerala and Tamil Nadu. 100 years, there was no relation. And within that 100 years, regional dialects emerged, and the Dravida language in the western part emerged as Malayalam. And Tamil retained much of its originality, but with changes, it emerged as a modern Tamil. The same way, closed village economies. You just understand that in the post-Gupta economy, closed village economies emerged in India, and that contributed to the end of internal trade. So no internal trade. Hope you got it, how the internal trade came to an end. So in the cities now, no need for any artisan because the thing is that no internal trade. You are not producing anything. Already your external trade gone and internal trade is also not happening. That means there is no point in Manipravalam is not Malayalam. Manipravalam is a literary language only. Literary language. Manipravalam is a literary language with a mix of Malayalam and Sanskrit words. It's not a talking language. It's a literary language. Okay, it's not a dialect of Malayalam. It was the literary language dominated by the Brahmins. So that's why it was having Sanskrit and Malayalam words. That's all. So cities, artisans became unemployed. So artisans became unemployed and they began their migration from the cities. So what happened in the post-Gupta economy? Decline of Indian cities. The end of trade led to the decline of cities. So all the celebrated cities of India came to an end during this period. All the leading cities of India, Pataliputra, Chamba, Kaushambi, Shravasti, Mathura, Ujjain, Takshashila. A few examples. India had the world's largest cities at that time. Pataliputra and all were one of the largest cities of the world. All the cities came to an end. End means they lost everything. Yuan Shang, he in his book mentions that streets of Pataliputra was filled with the dogs and cats. That was the situation. People completely deserted these cities. And you know, most of the cities lost its originality. Chamba is now a village in Munger district. Kaushambi is another village. Shravasti, Takshashila, we don't know where it is. It is in Pakistan, nothing is there. Ujjain is a small town in Madhya Pradesh. Adra is a city in Uttar Pradesh, but not like what was it in the ancient times. Patliputra is Patna, but nothing as compared with the majesty of Patliputra. So all the Indian cities, the celebrated Indian cities declined, and this was the end of India's second urbanization. And this was the end of India's second urbanization. This was the end of India's second urbanization. So India's second urbanization came to an end. So where started the second urbanization? Where started the second urbanization? Where we started the second urbanization? Yeah, Mahajanapadas. So now after almost 1000 years, 1200 years, India's cities declined. This is known as India's second, end of India's second urbanization, also called the urban decay of India. Urban decay of India. So if a question comes, what the urban decay refers? Urban decay is a term associated with the decline of Indian cities in the post-Gupta times. So choice, if it is mentioned, the decline of Harappan cities, no, we never call it as urban decay of India. Urban decay, we associate it to the end of the cities in the post-Gupta times. That's the urban decay. Urban decay. The next, the decline in trade was also testified by a phenomena called paucity of coins. Phenomena called paucity of coins between 6th and the 9th centuries of AD. Paucity of coins between 6th and 9th centuries. And what is meant by this paucity of coins? See, we discovered very few coins that belong to this period. We discovered more coins that belong to Gupta and post-Gupta times. Gupta and post-Maurya times. And I will make you understand that through a graph. See, coinage history of India started in the 600 BC. Mahajanapada. Let's divide some period like this. 300, 300, 600, 900, 1200, like that. No need to draw this graph, but just for your understanding. So this is the time period of India. We can say Mahajanapada, then Maurya, post-Maurya, Gupta, post-Gupta period, and early medieval India. See, coinage started during the, like this, we discovered the coins, assume that. 600 BC. This one. Rice. Again a rice. Coming down. Rice. So, coinage history, we can make a graph like this. Again going up. In the coinage history of India, only one period we could see a drop in the number of coins that was discovered. So this is that period. 600 to 900 is the period where we got that decline of coins. This is not normal case, because in the coinage history, as the age progresses, more number of coins will be discovered. That is, you check the coins with you. You will have the coins issued by India government after 2000 AD. Assume that you got 100 coins with you. 90 coins will be after 2000. You are not still keeping with you 1950 coins or 1960 coins and all. So the point is that as the period progresses, the discovery of coins also increasing. This is the general trend. You can see less coins to Mahajanapata, more coins to Maurya, again more coins to post-Maurya, Gupta. Like that was the history of India's coins. And then from early medieval onwards, coins, Sultanate period more coins, Mughal period more coins. Like that, the coin number increased. Only this phase in India, 600 to 900 AD, we discovered very rare number of coins. We cannot assume that, okay, maybe that coins was destroyed some way or other. Not like that. If coins were there, we would have discovered the coins. Otherwise, this should be applicable to all the stages of history. Only this 300 years in Indian history, we discovered very less number of coins. So we say that there was a pause. You will pause the video now, stop the video. That is what the paucity of coins. Very less coins. So what is the reason for that? Coins are used for monetary transactions. When there is no trade, what's the need of the coin? Second point is that now local self-economy, villages. That means what is produced in a village is used for that village alone. So that means it was barter system. That is, it was barter economy. Under Indian feudalism, this village economy, self-sufficient closed economy, it was mainly barter system. You produce rice, exchange that with some vegetable, exchange that for milk or curd or something like that. So it was a barter economy there. There also coin was not required. And the rulers, they collected tax also in the form of kind. Kind in the form of wheat or rice, they collected the tax. So that period, very coins were produced. Reason? Note, so this paucity of coins is also an evidence for the less trading activities during the post-Gupta times. Clear? This paucity of coins is also called India's monetary anemia. Also called India's monetary anemia. The coinage history is very pale during this period. It's called India's monetary anemia. India's monetary anemia. So that's the economic conditions during the post-Gupta times. Next, one more point you had. However, because of the land grant economy, there was an expansion in agriculture. So it's not an economic collapse completely, trade part. Due to land grants, but due to land grants, there was an expansion in the field of agriculture. There was an expansion in the field of agriculture. Then society, post-Gupta society. Post-Gupta society. Post-Gupta society, the trends of the Gupta period continued. The trends of Gupta period continued. The trends of Gupta period continued. That is what we studied in the Gupta period. That all trends that continued without much change during the Gupta period. Condition of women, untouchables, all became pathetic. Shudras, women and untouchables, it became more pathetic, nothing more. Then the last point of ancient India, Arab conquest of Sindh. Arab conquest of Sindh. Arab conquest of Sindh. So it was in 712. We can see the first Islamic invasion on India, 712 AD. Muhammad bin Qasim. He conquered Sindh from Dahir. Dahir was the king of Sindh. He conquered Sindh from Dahir. He conquered Sindh from Dahir. Conquered Sindh from Dahir. And this marked the first entry of Islam into Indian subcontinent. This marked the first entry of Islam into Indian subcontinent. first entry of Islam into Indian subcontinent. However, the Arabs could not make any progress in their expansion. However, the Arabs could not make any progress in their expansion, could not make any progress in their expansion because they were expelled by the Pratihara rulers. They were expelled by the Pratihara rulers. Expelled by the Pratihara rulers. So that's all for ancient India. Remaining topics of ancient India we will deal in the art and culture class, especially Buddhism, Jainism and all. Okay, now let's move on to medieval India. Yeah, that comes under this medieval India. Now the medieval India history. We are going to study the medieval India history from, we can say, 800 AD onwards to 1707. This is what the topic which we will cover in medieval India. Roughly speaking, from 9th century onwards. Okay, 800 to 1707 AD. Next, early medieval India. Early medieval India. 800 to 1200. Early medieval India. We don't have any fixed time period, okay? This is according to the different schools. Some say the medieval India started from 7th century, some said it is 9th century, some said 8th century. But what we are covering is 800 to 1200 AD. That is the first topic, early medieval India. Early medieval India. So what this change? Why suddenly this change? We mentioned that in the Gupta, post-Gupta period, North India got parceled out into petty states, large number of small states. That trend was over in the mid of the 9th century, and from 850 onwards, many empires emerged in India. Many big empires emerged in India from 850 onwards. So you're right. After a long period of political disintegration, after a long period of political disintegration, after long period of political disintegration, after long period of political disintegration, three empires emerged in the north. Three empires emerged in the north in the 9th century. Three empires emerged in the north in the 9th century, and they were so three empires emerged in India during this period, and they were Rashtrakutas of Deccan, Rashtrakutas of Deccan. That is this green color one. Rashtrakutas of Deccan. Gurjara Pratiharas of Kanauj. Gurjara Pratiharas of Kanauj. Gurjara Pratiharas of Kanauj and Palas of Bengal. Palas of Bengal. So after a long period of political disintegration, we could see the rise of three empires in North India. North Indian in the sense that Rashtrakutas also extended to the north. Rashtrakutas, Gurjara Prathaharas, and the Palas. All the three entered into a conflict. All the three entered into a conflict for the control of Kannauj region. All the three entered into a conflict for the control of Kannauj region. Kannauj region. All the three, they fought for the Kannauj. And this is known as the tripartite struggle in Indian history. Tripartite struggle, three parties fighting each other, known as the tripartite struggle in Indian history. Tripartite struggle in the India's history. And the conflict continued till the end of all the three. And the conflict continued till the end of all the three. They used to defeat each other under different rulers and all. Continued throughout the existence of all the three. They competed each other and all. Some information, Rashtrakuta dynasty was established by Dandi Durga. Pala dynasty was established by Gopala. And Gurjara Pratihara dynasty was established by Nagbhada. Nagbhada second. All was during the 9th century. Okay, in the mid 9th century, all the three kingdoms were established. Dandi Durga established Rashtrakuta dynasty. Nagbhada second established Gurjara Pratiharas. And Gopala established the Pala dynasty. Gopala. Okay. This area was actually not that significant in our GS sessions and all, and even for history optionals also. This area, this tripartite struggle and the Gurjara Pratiharas, Palas and Rashtrakutas were not a prominent area because questions were asked there very rarely. Very rarely means absolute rarity it was. But this year in GS, 2-3 questions came from this early medieval area. Okay, almost three questions in GS was from this. And if you add that art and culture also, we can say 4 questions were asked from this area. So if we consider this as an indication, this is a significant area now. Okay, if we are to study this area. So what I did was I used to say this king's name in the GS, our batches, the current GS regular batches, I mentioned about the kings and all, name and all. So what I will do is that I will add on, I know the king's names, all the kings, who all the rulers, which all the battles they fought, then the art and culture aspects and all. But the questions were mainly asked from that economic side, that Indian feudalism area, that Drona Vapa, Kulya Vapa, that all belongs to the land measurements during this feudalism period. So what I decided is that I will just develop that social economic history of this period, early medieval period, little more, and I will add that. Okay, at the end of this medieval India class, I will once again come back to early medieval. Political is there in a detailed way. I can say that without any help, I can say that political history, but economic history and social history, I need to do little more research on that because the topics is lengthy. I have to bring out the prominent areas and all. So for that, I am doing some work now. So I am not giving any point related to that economic social history. Earlier, I just mentioned the tripartite struggle and I move on to the Islamic invasions. But now this year, for the first time, 3-4 questions are asked. So this 400 years, normally just 10 minutes matter only. But at least we have to take little more on that area. That's what I feel now. So I have to update that area. So I will come back to you with the economic and social history of this period later. Now let's move on to that medieval India part. So what happened was that this tripartite struggle weakened all the three. Weakened in the sense that they were almost finished. Okay, this Dandidurga's Rashtrakuta dynasty was over, and it was taken over by the Kalyani Chalukyas. Kalyani Chalukyas took over this Rashtrakutas. They were over. Pala dynasty was entered by Sena dynasty in Bengal. This all I will explain later. Okay, no need to worry now. Now what happened was that Gurjara Pratiharas are still remaining, but very weakened. Gurjara Pratiharas, who were the power of India, who resisted the Islamic invasions on India for almost 200 years. See, after Sindh conquest, no Muslim invasion on India because Pratiharas protected India's boundary from the invading Islamic armies. But the tripartite struggle led to the weakening of the Pratiharas. So we can mark that these yellow colors are fast disappearing, showing that the Gurjara Pratiharas is now in a weakened position. Whenever India's rulers in the north, when they are weak, in a weak position, naturally invasions will enter India. So Gurjara Pratiharas weakened, now opportunity for invasion. An invasion came to India in the form of Mahmud Ghazni. So in the 11th century, India witnessed invasions from the northwest. In the 11th century, India witnessed series of invasions from the northwest in the form of Mahmud Ghazni. Mahmud, he was the ruler of Ghazna in Afghanistan. Ghazna, Ghazna. Ghazna was his territory. His kingdom was called Ghazna. So he was called Mahmud of Ghazni. Okay. Mahmud of Ghazni. His name was something different. Yaminuddawla Abul Hasim Mahmud bin Sabuktigin, something like that. No need to worry about that name. Just remember Mahmud Ghazni. Invaded India 17 times. Mahmud Ghazni invaded India 17 times. Everywhere he destroyed India. 17 times he invaded. And all these invasions, he looted all our wealth. What all wealth we accumulated with the silk trade and other trade and everything was looted by this Mahmud Ghazni. Invaded India 17 times between 1001 and 1027. So 27 years, 17 invasion. Almost his habit or hobby was to invade India 17 times. You might have heard that Somnath temple. He invaded Somnath temple 2 times, destroyed the temple, took away all its wealth. Many temples were destroyed, and temples became a soft target because all our rulers kept their wealth in the temples, thinking that robbers will fear the god and they will not rob the property of the god. But the foreigners, they realized that all the wealth is in the big temples of India. That's why the temples became an easy target. Okay. Ghazni's headquarters was Ghazna. Ghazna was a place. His capital was also Ghazna in Afghanistan. Kingdom was also called Ghazna, just like Delhi Sultanate. We call Delhi Sultan's capital of the Delhi. Ghazna was his capital. So Ghazni, he invaded India this much times. 17 times he invaded. What happened as a result of that? Ghazni's invasion ended the Gurjara Pratiharas completely. So these invasions marked the end of Gurjara Pratiharas. So Gurjara Pratiharas, their end happened. So what happened in India after that? the Gurjara Pratiharas were replaced by their subordinate chiefs. Gurjara Pratiharas were replaced by their subordinate chiefs. Gurjara Pratiharas were replaced by their subordinate chiefs. Who were they? Any idea? Who were the subordinates of Gurjara Pratiharas? Can anyone say who were the subordinates of Rajputs? Subordinates of Gurjara Pratiharas, that is Rajputs. Rajputs. So many Rajput states emerged in India. Many Rajput states emerged in India after the Gurjara Pratiharas decline. And prominent among them were Rajput states were So these were some of the prominent Rajput states. So that is from 1000 AD to 1200, or 11th and 12th century in India's history is known as Age of Rajputs, North Indian history. North Indian history in the 11th and 12th century is known as the Age of Rajputs. Large number of big and small Rajput states emerged in India, and 4 among them were very powerful. There were 4 big Rajput powers in India. They were the most powerful Rajput states of India. They were Chalukyas of Gujarat, Chalukya Rajputs of Gujarat, Chalukya Rajputs of Gujarat, Chandelas of Bundelkhand, Chandelas of Bundelkhand. Bundelkhand, you know, Bundelkhand, the north Madhya Pradesh and the southwest of Uttar Pradesh, Gwalior, Jhansi as the centers, Bundelkhand region, Chandelas. Then Gahadawalas of Kanauj, Gahadawalas of Kanauj, Gahadawalas of Kanauj, and the Chauhans of Shagambari. Chauhans of Shagambari. And they were the rulers of Delhi. Chauhans were the rulers of Delhi. They are called the Chauhans of Shagambari. Shagambari is in Rajasthan. So they were known by that place. Chauhans of Shagambari, Chalukyas of Gujarat, Chandelas of Bundelkhand, and the Gahadawalas of Kanauj. But there was no unity among the Rajputs. They were also fighting each other. So Rajputs also fought amongst themselves. Rajputs also, there was no political unity. And there is obviously no reason for the political unity. They are different states, automatically they will fight. Okay, it's not to be considered as something wrong. Because we can't say there is a concept of unity at that time. Only that Rajput concept unified them. Other than that, nothing else. In between, they were fighting each other. So this was a history. 200 years, Rajput dominated the affairs in India. Now in 1175, Muhammad Ghori invaded India. Muhammad Ghori invaded India. Muhammad Ghori invaded India. 1175. But his initial invasion was not successful. He was defeated in the Battle of Mount Abu. He He was defeated in the Battle of Mount Abu. So there was a Battle of Mount Abu, and Muhammad Ghori was defeated by Bhima II. Muhammad Ghori was defeated by Bhima II, the Chalukya king of Gujarat. Bhima II, the Chalukya king of Gujarat. So Bhima II, the Chalukya king of Gujarat, he defeated Muhammad Ghori. So that was his setback to Ghori. But Ghori came back again, 1191. Ghori came back again, and this time he came through Punjab. First time he came through Gujarat, defeated. This time he came through Punjab in 1191. Battle of Tarain. First Battle of Tarain. First Battle of Tarain. First Battle of Tarain. Rajput ruler of Delhi, Prithviraj Chauhan. Rajput ruler of Delhi, Prithviraj Chauhan. Rajput ruler of Delhi, Prithviraj Chauhan. Prithviraj Chauhan defeated Muhammad Ghori. So once again, Muhammad Ghori was defeated. Once again, Muhammad Ghori was defeated. Prithviraj Chauhan. Prithviraj Chauhan. So Muhammad Ghori once again defeated. But Ghori was not ready to leave in the first attempt or the second attempt. Ghori came for the third attempt. 1192. Second Battle of Tarain. Second Battle of Tarain. The very next year. 1192. Second Battle of Tarain. This time Ghori defeated Prithviraj Chauhan. Ghori defeated Prithviraj Chauhan. Ghori defeated Prithviraj Chauhan. So Muhammad Ghori, he defeated Prithviraj Chauhan. This marked the beginning of Turkish rule in India. This marked the beginning of Turkish rule in India. So 1192, Second Battle of Tarain, that marked the beginning of the Turkish rule in India. So that's the beginning of the Turkish rule. 1192. Turkish rule, its origin. Then in 1197, Ghori's commander Bhaktiar Khalji in 1197, Ghori's commander Bhaktiar Khalji, he occupied Bengal. He occupied Bengal, and on his way he destroyed Nalanda, Vikramashila, and Odandapura universities. Odandapura universities. So these were the celebrated universities of that time, world-renowned universities, we can say. But that madman Bhaktiar Khalji, he destroyed these universities. I don't know why these people are angry with the letters. That ISIS idiots are doing the same even today. But ISIS is almost over. Taliban mad fellows, they were also doing the same. Why you are angry? And Nalanda, lakhs of books were there. Who knows whether we had wonderful historical books in ancient India? All the evidence is gone. Nalanda, Vikramashila, Odandapura, universities set on fire. If that was not done, we would have we had the oldest universities of in world. We could have much famous universities than than the Cambridge and the Oxford and all. Why we say Oxford, Cambridge? They are good because of their causes. Not only that, long period of existence, and we never had anything. Yeah, Taliban will be returning to power in Afghanistan. That is for sure. It's just a question of time. Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan. Just a question of time only. Its prime reason is the United States of America. It was for their selfish motives they do all this invasions and all. And they always make it in a half-boiled situation so that their weapons and everything will be... See, actually, this Afghanistan war and the Iraq war was a demonstration of US military capacity. Their cluster bombs, this bomb, that bomb, laser weapons, all were displayed before the world. Its efficiency was displayed to different nations of the world. So they got better orders. Okay. USA, their main business is weapon business. They makes money with that. And they will never allow a peaceful situation. So they will prop up the troubles everywhere. But they will come as a messiah to protect the world from everything. US never wanted to end the Taliban there. You know, if Taliban is over, then the terrorism in Pakistan will also come to an end. If this Afghanistan is stable, that will lead to the stability of South Asia also. US want India, Pakistan, China issue to burn always. Then only they can fish in the muddied waters. They will have this. Over the last 70 years, Pakistan is the biggest purchaser of US weapons. So they only profited. India, China, and Pakistan are losers. Every year we are losing our men, our material for a strip of land covered with the snow and ice. For what purpose? If you think that, what's the purpose of this? Siachen Glacier, we are fighting. Okay, good. Siachen Glacier, let it be. Not even a human being in that area. So that never means that India to give our land to Pakistan or China. But had India, China, Pakistan realized their mistakes and they joined as good neighbors like the European powers. See how many wars Germany and France fought. Bitter wars, Germany and France. Era, for 300 years, Britain, France and Germans were at war. Now they can join together. Why can't we, India, Pakistan and China? Foolish politicians in all these three nations, plus the US and the Western lobby. As long as everything is there, this fight will continue. USA have no border issue with the neighbors. USA is having open borders, we can say, with Canada and all. Mexico, the problem is that migration of the Mexican. Mexico is almost a failed nation. Poverty, this drugs, all are there. So people want to escape from Mexico. They enter in USA in big numbers. That affects the job of the US citizens. So that's the trouble with Mexico. No boundary disputes and all. China is having boundary dispute with all their neighbors. All the 14, 15 neighbors, China is having the boundary disputes. That's something beyond our conclusion and our comprehension what is happening this. But my point is that Nalanda, Vikramashila, Odandapura, all these universities were destroyed. And that was an attack on the humanity. And this ISIS fellows, they destroyed 7,000-year-old historical heritage. 7,000-year-old historical heritage in Syria was destroyed by the ISIS. Crime against humanity. Nothing more than that. So this was what happened. Then in 1206, Ghori was killed. Ghori was killed by Khokars. Gauri was killed by Kokars. And Kokars were a Hindu group in Sindh. Kokars is in a Hindu group in Sindh, and they killed Muhammad Gauri. In a battle, they killed Muhammad Gauri. In an ambush, Muhammad Gauri was attacked and he was killed. Gauri's slave and general. Gauri's slave and general. Kings used to have personal slaves in the sense that personal loyal men. Okay, they are the slave, they consider they are the slave of the ruler. But to the rest of the empire, they were the highest officers. Don't think that slaves working in the field and all. No, these are the elite slaves. They are slaves only to the ruler, but to the rest of the sultanate or rest of the kingdom, they are the highest officers. See, the Islamic kings, they always protected themselves by keeping slaves around them. So, and such slaves were appointed into important posts. So, don't confuse with the term slave. Aibak was a slave of Gauri only, but to the kingdom he was a general. So, Aibak, Gauri's slave and general, Kutubuddin Aibak. Kutubuddin Aibak. Kutubuddin Aibak. Kutubuddin Aibak established the Delhi Sultanate. Established the Delhi Sultanate in 1206 AD. Established the Delhi Sultanate in 1206 AD. Just have a small 5 minutes break. I need little rest. Okay, 5 minutes. We will continue with Delhi Sultanate. Okay, welcome back. So next is Delhi Sultanate. The topic is Delhi Sultanate. So, Delhi Sultanate, it is from 1526 to, Delhi Sultanate is from 1206 to 1526. This is the time period of Delhi Sultanate. 1206 to 1526. 1206 to 1526. And 4 dynasties ruled Delhi Sultanate. 4 dynasties, or not actually 4, 5 dynasties. I'm having little headache, that's why not able to concentrate also a little bit. So 1206 onwards, 5 dynasties were there. First is the Ilbari dynasty. Ilbari dynasty. That was from 1206 to 1290. Ilbari dynasty. 1206 to 1290. Ilbari dynasty. 1206 to 1290. Ilbari dynasty. Then the next was Khalji. Khalji dynasty, that was from 1290 to 1320. The second dynasty was Khalji dynasty, 1290 to 1320. Then the third dynasty was Tughlaq. Tughlaq was the third dynasty, 1320 to 1412. 1320 to 1412, Tughlaq dynasty. Then the fourth was Said. Said dynasty was from 1414. 2 years there was a gap. 1414 to 1451. That is the Said dynasty, the fifth one, Said dynasty. And the last was the Lodi dynasty. That was from 1451 to 1526. So these were the 5 dynasties of Delhi. Delhi Sultanate, the 5 dynasties were this: the Ilbari, the Khalji, the Tughlaq, the Said, and the Lodis. So 5 dynasties ruled. Okay. And of these 5, the first 4 were Turks. These 4 were the Turks. Turks, and the Lodi was Afghan. So Turk and Afghan. So Turks, the first 4 were Turks, and the last was Afghan. So now let's see the history of Delhi Sultanate. So this you remember the chronological sequence and the point that Lodis were the Afghans. So Qutbuddin Aibak. Qutbuddin Aibak, he never took the title Sultan. He never took the title Sultan because, there were 3 limitations in the Islamic world. One is slave, blind, and an eunuch. These 3 cannot become the ruler of Islam. Apart from this, anyone can become the Islamic ruler. Apart from this, anyone can become the Islamic ruler. Anyone can become the Islamic ruler. So these were the 3 limitations: slave, blind, and eunuch. These were the 3 limitations in the Islamic world. Other than that, anyone, you are born high-born or low-born, you are a son of a ruler, or you are a son of a most poorest man on this earth, women also, you can be the ruler. No limitation, women can be the ruler. Islam as a religion never prohibits women from being the rulers. Okay. So these were the 3 limitations: slave, blind, and eunuch. But the people were not ready to accept women. That's the only issue. Eunuch means sexually impotent person. See, sexually impotent means it was a part of the Islamic world. Many men, their sexual capacity was destroyed naturally. We call it as a castration. Okay. The term is called castration, that the sexual capacity is being destroyed. Such sexual capacity was destroyed. Such castrated persons, they were called eunuchs. See, eunuchs was because of this. See, the kings and all had a huge harem, ladies, their wives, their concubines, his daughters, and their relations. Thousands of ladies were there in the royal harem of the rulers of Islamic world. So, to have the security guards, see, security guards for women, that was men only. Men was appointed as a security guard. But the rulers feared that the sexually potential men appointed as security guards, sometimes that can lead to some molestations or atrocities against women. So in order to protect the women from their male security guards, that security guards, their sexual potential will be destroyed. Sexually impotent persons were appointed as protectors of the how the eunuchs emerged. Okay, this is not naturally important persons, these are forcefully made important persons. They are eunuchs. So eunuch, blind and slave, you cannot be the ruler. Aibak was a slave. So a slave being the ruler, even if he wished to become the ruler also, that won't be accepted by the Islamic religion. And in Islam, religion is having very high role. See, religious class in Islam is called ulema. Ulema is the term for the religious class. So the religious class in Islam is called ulema. So the religious class is called ulema, and they will never accept. So your rule won't get the sanction from the religion, means the people also won't accept you. So that's why Aibak was a cunning man. He realized that if we take the title Sultan, that won't be accepted by anyone. Instead, he realized that what's there in a title? Even if there is no title also, I will be the ruler. So Aibak never had the title Sultan. Reason, because he was a slave, and he adopted the titles Malik. Malik means master, and Sipa Salar. These were the titles adopted by Aibak. Malik and Sipa Salar. Malik and Sipa Salar. Sipa Salar means commander. Commander. Malik means master. So Aibak, with this title, Malik and Sipa Salar, Qutbuddin Aibak, he ruled Delhi without any formal declaration of himself as a sultan. Then he was a man of charity. Aibak provided huge charity to the poor, and because of that, he was called Lakh Baksh. Lakh Baksh. Aibak was given the title Lakh Baksh. Aibak was given the title Lakh Baksh. Lakh Baksh. Meaning could be distributor of lakhs. I'm not sure about that. But he was called Lakh Baksh because of his charity. Then in 1210, Aibak died. Aibak playing Chogan, that is polo. You know the game polo, riding over the horse, just like a hockey being played over the horse. So Aibak playing that Chogan, he fell down from the horse and got killed. This is how Qutbuddin Aibak. Ulema means religious class. Ulema means religious class. Aibak. So Chogan. Okay, that's it. Aibak was succeeded by his adopted son Aram Shah. Aibak was succeeded by his adopted son Aram Shah. A-R-A-M, Aram Shah. Adopted son Aram Shah. Aram Shah. But he was killed by Turkish commander. One of the Turkish commander killed this Aram Shah. His name was Iltutmish. Iltutmish. So Iltutmish killed Aram Shah in 1211, and then he became the Sultan. So Iltutmish was the first ruler of Delhi to have the title Sultan. First ruler of the Delhi to have title Sultan, Iltutmish. Iltutmish. And he is considered as the real founder of Delhi Sultanate. Iltutmish is considered as the real founder of Delhi Sultanate. Iltutmish as the real founder of Delhi Sultanate. One more interruption. I think I want to have a tea. The headache is there. So one more break, a small break. Just excuse me for that frequent breaks. I will be back. Okay. Not. Mummy. So welcome back. Not feeling well, but anyway, we'll continue for some more time. Iltutmish, he became the ruler in the year 1210, and he is considered as the real founder of Delhi Sultanate. First point is that he made Delhi the capital. He made Delhi the capital. So Delhi was made capital by Iltutmish. Then he established the foundation of Delhi Sultanate, which was administration, which was called Iqta system. Oh, sorry. Okay. 1211, not 1210. Iqta system. So Iltutmish established Iqta system, which was the foundation of the Sultanate administration. You now remember Iqta system just was introduced by Iltutmish. I will explain Iqta system in the administration. When we deal with administration of medieval India, I will come back to Iqta system. Because normally I used to explain Iqta system here itself. But now I think I won't be that good to explain that. Okay, I will deal that in the administrative part. Actually, Iqta system is nothing. Division of the empire into small territorial units, entrusting the charge to the nobles, and nobles maintain law and order and the financial situation of that area, and also kept the army for the Sultan. And this strengthened the administration of Delhi Sultanate. That's all. I'll explain that in the administration class. Then he created a group of Turkish slaves. He created a group of Turkish slaves called Chalisa, or Corps of 40. In English, we call it as Corps of 40. He created a group of slaves called Chalisa, also called Corps of 40. Corps of 40. Corps of 40. Then next, he saved India from Mongol invasion. He saved India from Mongol invasion under Chengiz Khan. He saved India from Mongol invasion under Chengiz Khan. Saved India from Mongol invasion under Chengiz Khan. Saved India from Mongol invasion under Chengiz Khan by refusing asylum to, asylum spelling is wrong. By refusing asylum to Jalaluddin Mingbarnu. Jalaluddin Mingbarnu, a Central Asian prince. Chased by Chengiz Khan. Central Asian prince chased by Chengiz Khan. A Central Asian prince chased by Chengiz Khan. Central Asian prince chased by Chengiz Khan. Actually, Chengiz Khan, the Mongol leader, he was the most dreaded conqueror of the world. Wherever he went, he destroyed that area. He killed thousands, and he was such a cruel man. This Chengiz Khan, in Eurasia, he conquered every area, killed the people everywhere except India. India was protected by Himalayas from the north, and there was one occasion Chengiz Khan came near to India. Once Chengiz Khan in this Iraq region, he attacked that area, and a prince of that area named Jalaluddin Mingbarnu, he escaped Chengiz Khan. Chengiz Khan chased him. He crossed river Indus, entered India. He wrote Iltutmish to give him asylum at Delhi. Iltutmish realized that if you give the asylum to this Mingbarnu, then Chengiz Khan will come and attack Delhi. Delhi will be destroyed. No one on this earth was capable to resist Chengiz Khan. He was such a cruel man, such a, what we can say, a warrior was also. He was a terror. Iltutmish politely refused asylum to Jalaluddin Mingbarnu, not Mingbarni, Mingbarnu. Denied asylum to this Mingbarnu, and as a result, Chengiz Khan didn't attack India. So not any heroic way, but tactfully, Iltutmish saved India from the Mongol invasion in this way. Then Iltutmish died in 1236. Iltutmish died in 1236. He died in 1236, and he was succeeded by his son Ruknuddin. He nominated his daughter Razia as the successor. Even though Iltutmish nominated Razia as the successor, So Iltutmish had nominated Razia as his successor. Because Iltutmish had around 9 sons. Iltutmish was fully convinced that all his sons are worthless. Okay, Iltutmish fully convinced that his sons are worthless. So what was done by Iltutmish was that during his period itself, he nominated his daughter Razia as the successor. He nominated Razia to be his successor. So what happened? Iltutmish died and Razia became the ruler, Sultan. The Islamic theologians, the nobles, and the Chalisa, that is her father's slaves, they were against a woman being their ruler. So there was no restriction for a woman being a ruler, but the patriarchal society was not ready to accept a woman as the ruler. So no one was ready to accept Razia as the ruler. No one was there ready to accept Razia as the ruler. So Razia faced opposition from the nobles, from the ulema, the religious class, and also from the Chalisa, her father's trusted slave officers. So Razia was not made the ruler. Ruknuddin became the ruler. Clear this much? Okay. So then what happened, people of Delhi became angry because this Ruknuddin was a worthless ruler. People of Delhi became angry and they killed this man in a revolt. A revolt happened and Ruknuddin was killed. In a revolt, Ruknuddin was killed. Ruknuddin was killed in that revolt. And with the people's support, Razia became the ruler, same year itself, 1236. So Razia became a ruler with the help of the people. So people supported Razia. When the people was with Razia, ulema, nobles and the Chalisa all remained silent. They were angry, but they were not in a position to show their opposition to Razia. So Razia this way came to power with the help of the people. But you know, the patriarchal Turkish society was not ready to accept a woman, even though she was superiorly talented. Razia was not allowed to rule properly. All these fellows, that is ulema, the nobility, and the Chalisa, her father's creation, they conspired against Razia, and finally by 1240, Razia was killed. Razia was killed in 1240. 4 years she ruled remarkably, but eventually she was killed. The history of Razia was mentioned in the book. History of Razia was mentioned in the book Tabaqat-e-Nasiri. Tabaqat-e-Nasiri. Book Tabaqat-e-Nasiri, written by historian Minhaj Siraj. Minhaj Siraj. Minhaj Siraj. Historian Minhaj Siraj. Tabaqat-e-Nasiri, the book written by Minhaj Siraj. And he said that Razia possessed all the qualities to be an efficient, excellent ruler. And he said that only limitation of Razia was that she was a woman. That is, the 13th century was not ripe enough for a woman ruler. Even 21st century, it is not that easy for women, at least in India or in this Asian part. Even today, the Asian African regions of the world, it is not that easy for a woman to be the ruler. Long miles to go for this Asia, Africa to be really progressive. USA also. Compared with USA, India is having little more better position for women, at least in the Panchayat and all. We have the better numbers. But USA, there is no restriction as such. You can see Kamala Harris, an Indian origin lady, is now going to be the vice president candidate of USA. And we, the Indians, are clapping our hands. And same in India, when an Indian citizen won the elections or contested the elections, how many trouble in India, how many people were there. Sushma Swaraj threatened the Mundan and all when Sonia Gandhi was there. So we will clap when the Indian origin people gets into big position in another part of the world. We won't allow the Indian citizens who are of the same category in India. Double standards, nothing more than that. Okay. So Tabaqat-e-Nasiri, Minhaj Siraj. Next, Razia was succeeded by weak rulers. Razia was succeeded by weak rulers who were puppets. Razia was succeeded by weak rulers who were puppets. Who were puppets. Puppet means dolls, helpless dolls, Bomma. Puppets in the hands of Chalisa. So now the Iltutmish slave officers, they became the dominant of the Sultanate administration. They controlled the administration, they emerged as the real rulers, and the sons of Iltutmish became mere puppets in their hands. So some utterly worthless rulers like Bahram Shah, Masood Shah, Nasiruddin Muhammad and all. Even their names also no need to mention at all in the class. Okay, so I just mentioned their names, but no use. Okay, simple idiot rulers, good for nothing fellows. See, Iltutmish, this is why Iltutmish was a talented ruler. See, no father will have that hatred towards his son. Even if your sons are not at all good, they want to see their sons to be the rulers. But Iltutmish was fully convinced that his sons are good for nothing. They will destroy everything. That's why he took a unique decision by nominating Razia to be his successor. And what Iltutmish was convinced of, that was correct. All his sons were weak rulers. Finally, in 1266, Sultan Nasiruddin Muhammad was assassinated. Sultan Nasiruddin Muhammad was assassinated by Balban. A former member of Chalisa. A former member of Chalisa. So you will have a doubt. That means Balban is a slave. How can he become the ruler? Slaves can be freed by masters. That is, masters can make the slave a free man. If you are freed from that slavery, you are free and you can be the king. So Balban was freed from the slavery by this Nasiruddin Muhammad. Okay, Nasiruddin Muhammad, he made Balban free from the slavery because Nasiruddin Muhammad and Balban had good relations. Balban successfully won over the Nasiruddin Muhammad, and Nasiruddin Muhammad made Balban a free man. Now Balban became free as the leading commander of the Sultanate. Balban realized that I am very powerful. I will kill this Sultan and I can be the Sultan. And one day Balban killed Nasiruddin Muhammad and became the Sultan of Delhi. So this is how Balban, a former slave, came to power. So remember that Balban was a former slave and he was not a slave when he became the ruler. So technically, Balban, there is no limitation. He can be the ruler. Now next, Balban. Balban strengthened the monarchy. Balban strengthened the monarchy. Supremely talented Balban. Balban was the king. While all other kings, after Iltutmish, no one was having that much respect. Ruknuddin was killed by the people. Even though Razia was ruler, not everyone was respecting her. Later rulers were mere puppets. So the prestige of the monarchy was already eroded. Balban realized that for his survival, he should be the master of all the affairs. And Balban made the power of monarchy so powerful that no one dared to stand before the ruler with any confidence. People shivered by hearing the name of Balban. That was Balban. Remarkably powerful Balban was. First point or first step taken by Balban to strengthen monarchy was that he propounded divine right theory of kingship. 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 That is, Balban tried to link monarchy to God, because you can fool everyone in the name of religion very easily. Whether it is in the beginning of the human history or even to this date, people can be easily fooled in the name of religion. Even today also, with the information age, with the growth of all science and technology, I'm not against God or religion, but I don't believe in all the superstitious aspect of that. Okay. So Balban realized that it is easy to fool the people in the name of God. So Balban's first attempt was to link kingship with the divinity. This was what done by everyone. In the later Vedic period, when kingship emerged, Brahmins performed the pujas, Vajapeya, Ashwamedha, Rajasuya, and just link that king is selected by the god. The Vaishyas and the Shudras, they were forced to believe that king is of divine origin. Then Ashoka, Devanam Priya, his title, I am the beloved of the gods. Kushana rulers adopted the title Devaputra, we are the son of the gods. Gupta said, we are the gods. Gupta had the title Parameshwara, Paramadevada. Guptas equated themselves with the god. See the Cholas, we will study the Chola history. Raja Chola and all kept their own idols in the temples. Along with the Shiva, they placed their own idols. So this was a gimmick always used by the rulers. Christendom also, everywhere. Divine right origin was there. That is, kingship came from the god. So if you had attended the world history class, if you had reached the Russian Revolution and all. See, one of the reasons was that the Russians, they believed in the divine right theory of kingship. They believed that kingship is from the god and it is their duty to rule the people any way they want because they are selected by the god. They themselves believed that they are from the god. So this was an attempt everywhere. Balban made this divine right theory of kingship and he declared kingship to be Niyabat-e Khudai. This was the divine right theory of Balban. Niyabat-e Khudai. Niyabat-e Khudai. Khudai means God. Khuda. You know, Khuda Hafiz. Khudai means God. Niyabat means gift. That is, kingship is a gift of God. So that was the divine right theory of Delhi Sultanate. Kingship is the gift of God. Kingship is the gift of God. So meaning, please don't be jealous with me. This is a gift from the God. Only if the God gift you, then only you will become the king. So if you do something against me, God will strike you down. That was the impression Balban tried to create. Balban also adopted the title Zille Ilahi. Balban also adopted the title Zille Ilahi. Zille Ilahi was a title adopted by Balban. Balban also adopted the title Zille Ilahi. Also adopted the title Zille Ilahi. Shadow of God. That's the meaning. Shadow of God. So, I warn you, I am not symbol Balban, I am the shadow of God. Do something against me, you are doing a harm against God. Remember that. So this way, Balban created an aura around the kingship. Then he introduced strict discipline. Strict discipline in the court. In court, that is in the king's court, strict discipline was ensured. And he introduced Sijda and Paibos. He introduced practices like Sijda and Paibos. He introduced the practices like Sijda and Paibos. Sijda and Paibos were some of the practices introduced by Balban. Any idea what is this Sijda and Paibos? What is this Sijda? What is this Paibos? Any idea? What's this Sijda Paibos? Sijda means prostration. Prostration before the king. Prostration before the king. You know, Islamic namaz, bowing down, touching your forehead on the ground. According to the Islamic belief, such respect is only to the God. No man on this earth should be respected that way. That is what Islam says. Can do something, some respect like this to others, but bowing down, touching the forehead on ground, that is what is prostration. That was only for God. But Balban said, I am the shadow of the God. Do the same before me. So that everyone will be forced to respect the ruler in this way. Shows that the ruler is a great authority. Your ego will fly away when you are going to do all this before the emperor. If you feel that you are a high-ranking noble or someone, but still you are forced to do prostration before a man, Balban wanted to suppress all the nobles. And if still some ego is there, then next one, Baibos, kissing the feet of emperor. Kissing the feet of emperor. So you do the prostration, then you kiss the feet of the emperor. Doing the prostration before the king and kissing the feet of emperor. This was what Balban introduced in this court discipline. So he suppressed, he had an iron hand over the nobility. Clear? The next point, Balban was a racist. He was a racist and only accepted high-ranking Turks. He only accepted the Turks born of high family. Not all Turks were accepted by him. The Turkish soldiers and all, they are of the small clans of Turkish world. They were not accepted by Balban. Balban accepted only high-ranking Turks. The Indian origin people not at all accepted by him at that time. Ruling India never accepted any Indian origin. Whether they converted into Islam or not, Balban never considered. And Balban used to say that whenever he happened to see a man of low origin, accidentally his hand will go to his sword. That means he wanted to kill all the low origin people, just like Hitler, what he said later. So such a racist was Balban. The next point, Balban created a separate military department. Balban created a separate military department. Earlier, military was under the Prime Minister, but Balban created a dedicated ministry or dedicated department for war and military. It was called Diwan-e-Ars. Diwan-e-Ars was the ministry of Balban. Diwan-e-Ars, the ministry of Balban, Diwan-e-Ars. So that was the military of Balban, military department of Balban, Diwan-e-Ars. So this way Balban established strong rule. But in 1285, Balban died of heart attack. In 1285, Balban died of heart attack. And Balban was succeeded by weak rulers. Balban was succeeded by weak rulers. And finally in 1290, Sultan Qayyum-Ars. Sultan Qayyum-Ars. Sultan Qayyum-Ars was killed by Turkish commander Jalaluddin Khalji. Was killed by Turkish commander Jalaluddin Khalji. And that marked the end of the first dynasty of Delhi Sultanate. And that marked the end of the first dynasty of Delhi Sultanate. That marked the end of the first dynasty of Delhi Sultanate. So first dynasty of Delhi Sultanate, its end. We had seen their end with the end of Qayyum-Ars. This dynasty, the first dynasty, was called Ilbari dynasty. The first dynasty was called Ilbari dynasty because all the rulers from Iltutmish to Qayyum-Ars, they belonged to the Ilbari tribe. All the rulers from Iltutmish to Qayyum-Ars, belonged to the Ilbari tribe. So it's not correct to call it a slave dynasty. Only Aibak was a slave. No one else was a slave. Balban and Iltutmish were former slaves. But when they became the rulers, they were not slaves. So it is improper to call this dynasty a slave dynasty. The correct name, the most appropriate name for this dynasty is Ilbari. Ilbari rulers. Iltutmish to Qayyum-Ars. Ilbaris. Now next, the second dynasty of Delhi. Aibak was from this dynasty. Not dynasty. We call Aibak also to be a part of the Delhi Sultanate. Aibak belonged to the Aibak tribe. Mamluk dynasty is also not correct call, because Mamluk means it is the people born of free parents. Okay, that's the meaning. People call Mamluk dynasty slave dynasty, but that is improper. The correct name, the most accepted name is Ilbari dynasty. I'm saying that there is a term called slave dynasty established by Aibak. Who called the slave dynasty? Later historians only called it slave dynasty. So initially they said that dynasty, slave dynasty. But in the modern history, we rejected all that names like Mamluk and the slave. Now the most accepted is Ilbari dynasty. That's why I said it is Ilbari dynasty. Clear? Okay. Now next one. That is the Khalji dynasty. Khalji dynasty. Already I mentioned that Khalji's time period is 1290-1320. 1290-1320, Khalji dynasty. The founder Jalaluddin Khalji. The founder Jalaluddin. The founder Jalaluddin Khalji was killed by his nephew. Ali Gurshap. Killed by his nephew Ali Gurshap in 1296. So nephew Ali Gurshap killed uncle Khalji in 1296. Uncle went to meet the nephew. Nephew was happy. Oh, my dear uncle. He came to uncle and nephew hugged each other. While hugging, nephew took a knife and killed uncle. Uncle was finished. Now Ali Gurshap became the Sultan. Ali Gurshap became Sultan as Alauddin Khalji. Alauddin Khalji. So now Alauddin Khalji became the ruler in 1296. Ali Gurshap. Ali Gurshap was his name, but when he became the ruler, he took the title Alauddin. Alauddin Khalji. Alauddin Khalji. Alauddin Khalji. Alauddin began the imperialism of Delhi Sultanate. Imperialism of Delhi Sultanate. Alauddin began the imperialism of Delhi Sultanate. So before Alauddin, this Delhi Sultanate was just Indo-Gangetic plains only. That is just Punjab, UP, Bihar, Bengal. Not to Madhya Pradesh, not to Rajasthan and all. It was just a North Indian plain affair. Indo-Gangetic plain from Punjab to Bengal. But this was made an all India big empire. The beginning was started by Alauddin. So Alauddin's conquest. Topic, Alauddin's conquest. So the first conquest of Alauddin was Gujarat. Gujarat was conquered in 1299. Ruler was Karan Waghela. Raja Karan Waghela. Raja Karan Waghela was the ruler, and Alauddin conquered Gujarat in 1299. Then the next conquest was Ranthambore. Ranthambore, Rajput state of Ranthambore, ruled by Rai Hamira Deva. Rai Hamira Deva. Rai Hamira Deva. Ruler was Rai Hamira Deva. 1301. 1301. Next was Chittor. Chittor was the next conquest, 1303. 1303. Ruler was Rai Ratan Singh. Rai Ratan Singh. Rai Ratan Singh. This is where that Padmavati issue and all, but that is a historical fiction. Padmini or Padmavati is not a historical reality. It is just a fiction only. Because no Rajput, no medieval source mentioned about a Padmavati anywhere. Padmavati is just a fiction. So no need to worry about that. But just you can imagine that the Padmavat story is related with Alauddin's Chittor invasion. That's what you write. Padmavat is related with Alauddin's Chittor invasion, and the book Padmavat was written by Malik Muhammad Jayasi. Malik Muhammad Jayasi in Hindavi language, not Hindi. It is moving towards Hindi. This is from Abhabhramsha, a Rajasthani dialect emerged, and from that emerged a Hindavi with a mix of the traditional Indian and the Persian terms, and that eventually became the Khadi Boli Hindi. Okay, so this is in Hindavi. Hindavi, and it was written in the year 1540. So this is for the first time a Padmini is mentioned anywhere, Padmavati. So you just see the original Chittor was in 1303. Nearly 237, isn't it? 1403, 1503, yes. 237 years after this incident, someone wrote a Padmavat. Other than that, we don't have any historical evidences. You know the Amish who writes the immortals of Meluha, Otto, Vayuputras, Nagas, Sita, Ravan, all those things. That is history linked with the mythology, and he is making a story. Like that, everyone know about the Alauddin's invasion of Chittor from the historical records. Amir Khusru, Barani, or so many historians wrote about Alauddin Khalji's Chittor expedition. Even the Rajput sources mentions that. Someone reading this history, he then planned a story into that. That is Padmavati. So no need to worry about that. The next, Malwa. The next conquest of Alauddin was Malwa in 1305. Malwa in 1305, ruled by Rai Mahalak Deva. Rai Mahalak Deva. Ruled by Rai Mahalak Deva. Rai Mahalak Deva. Then Alauddin's next conquest was Sivana. 1307. Again, a Rajput state in Rajasthan. So you know that Ranthambore, Chittor, all in Rajasthan. I didn't mention that, but you can ask me if you don't know, because Chittor and Ranthambore are very famous. That's why I didn't mention the states. If you have any doubt, you can ask, because UPSC is asking such things presently in which state and all. Ranthambore, Chittor, Sivana, Rajasthan, and Malwa is in Madhya Pradesh. You might have studied in your geography class, Malwa Plateau. Malwa is in Madhya Pradesh. Sivana 1307, ruler is Rai Sital Dev. Rai Sital Dev. Rai Sital Dev. And the last conquest of Alauddin was Jalore. 1311, again in Rajasthan. Jalore in Rajasthan. Jalore. Jalod. Rajasthani pronunciation, it will go like Jalod. Jalore. 1311, ruler was Rai Kanhara Dev. Rai Kanhara Dev. Rai Kanhara Dev was the ruler. Rai Kanhara Dev. So this represents Alauddin Khalji's North Indian conquest. And you can add one more point. Alauddin took all these states under his direct control. Alauddin took all these states under his direct control. All were Rajputs. All were Rajputs. All were Rajput states. So Alauddin finished all the Rajput states and the Rajput rule came to an end. All these territories under the control of Alauddin. Their power was gone. Not the families and all were not destroyed. Alauddin took over the administration and these Rajputs remained as powerless there. But later they won back their power when the Sultanate weakened. So in this way, North India up to Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat under the control of Alauddin. Now what will be the logical sequence of North Indian conquest? What will be the logical sequence of the North Indian conquest? See, logically you think what will be North India conquered. So what will be the next sequence? South, yeah, South India. Next topic, Alauddin South Indian conquest. South Indian conquest of Alauddin. So now Alauddin decided to take over the south. So South India was his target now. First one, 1306, Devagiri. Devagiri. That is Maharashtra region. Okay. Devagiri state was in Maharashtra region, Devagiri. Ruled by Yadava dynasty. Ruled by Yadava dynasty. Yadava dynasty. Here dynastic name is also important. Yadava dynasty. Ruler Raja Ramachandra Deva. Raja Ramachandra Deva. Raja Ramachandra Deva. He was the ruler. Then next is 1308. Warangal. Warangal. Kakatiya dynasty. Kakatiya dynasty. Kakatiya dynasty. Ruler Prataparudra Deva. Prataparudra Deva. Prataparudra Deva. Second. Prataparudra Deva second. And the Delhi Sultanate occupied Kohinoor diamond from Warangal. Occupied Kohinoor diamond. Kohinoor. It's not a single term. We pronounce it as Kohinoor, but it is Kohinoor. Kohinoor. This is how it is originally written. Kohinoor. Kohinoor diamond was occupied from Warangal. Then 1310-11. 1310-11. 1310-11. And Warangal is now in Telangana. Warangal is now in Telangana, and Warangal at that time included both Telangana and Andhra. Third is Dwaras Samudra. Dwaras Samudra. Dwaras Samudra is Karnataka. Dynasty Hoysala. Hoysala dynasty. Hoysala. Ruler Veera Ballala. Veera Ballala. Veera Ballala was the ruler. Veera Ballala. Same year, 1310-11. Madurai. Madurai. Pandya dynasty. Pandya dynasty. Pandya dynasty. Sundara Pandya. Sundara Pandya. So he conquered up to South India. Malik Kafur, the slave general of Alauddin, Malik Kafur, the slave general of Alauddin. Malik Kafur, the slave general of Alauddin, he led the South Indian campaign. He led the South Indian campaign. Led the South Indian campaign. So he was the commander-in-chief. Malik Kafur. So Malik Kafur was the commander-in-chief. So I will explain that once more. So this was the then India or Indian subcontinent. The Delhi Sultans before Alauddin had the control of a region like this. Kashmir now untouched. So this was the India or Delhi Sultanate in 1296. So 1296, this was the Delhi Sultanate. Alauddin now started his conquest, and he successfully expanded the Delhi Sultanate into Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Madhya Pradesh. Accepted the forested region of this Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and all. He was not interested in that area. That's why he didn't go there. That was a forested region of India. So this was the Alauddin Khalji's North Indian conquest. And what was done by Alauddin? He brought it directly under the rule of Delhi. So he expanded the Delhi rule into his North Indian conquest. So he expanded his power into this territory. After that, he came to South. One by one, he conquered South India. See, for example, initially he captured the Devagiri. Then he captured Warangal. Then he captured which color to be used? Only 4 or 5 colors they are giving. Okay. Dwarasamudra he conquered. And finally he conquered the Pandya kingdom of Madurai. So this way he conquered, or we can make it like this. Okay. This is how Alauddin made the conquest. And except for Kerala, entire South India came under the control of Delhi Sultanate. And Delhi Sultanate extended up to Rameshwaram. Rameshwaram was the boundary. Okay. But here there was a difference. Alauddin never extended the direct control over South India. So you write that point. Alauddin never extended the direct control over South India. Never extended direct control over South India. Instead, he allowed the South Indian rulers to continue. He allowed the South Indian rulers to continue with the payment of annual tribute, with a payment of annual tribute to Delhi. So every year you pay a fixed amount to Delhi and you can be the ruler. You remain as the rulers. So Delhi Sultanate, the boundary under Alauddin, the official boundary of Delhi Sultanate under Alauddin was like this. This black line was the boundary of the Delhi Sultanate in the real sense. But he had the control up to Rameshwaram indirectly. He asked the South Indian rulers to be under his control, but they can rule almost independently with the payment of annual tribute. This was a wise decision from Alauddin, because Alauddin realized that sitting from Delhi, it was impossible to rule up to this much depth in the south. So he realized that if we conquer this into Delhi Sultanate directly, all the problems of South India, welfare of the people, tax collection, army, security, all the headache will be over his head. Why should he do all this? He want money. That money, without any trouble, these rulers will pay every year. So that was a wise decision of Alauddin not to jump into the troubles of South India. That's a wonderful decision from Alauddin Khalji. So this is regarding the conquest of Alauddin. So today I'm stopping 10 minutes before. Okay. So that's all for today. We will continue the class in our next session. Okay. We stopped at Alauddin's conquest. We will continue with reforms of Alauddin. So that's all. Bye.